Hello and welcome everyone. Lovely to see you all here today. My name is Lawal as always, and this is the third episode on the Parahack's Let's Learn JavaScript series. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at JavaScript variables. Now, for the very first question, what are variables? Well, the simplest definition of variables I can give you is that variables are simple containers for storing data. That's basically what they are, right? So, how do we actually declare these variables? Well, in JavaScript, which is the programming language we are learning, we declare variables in four ways. The first one is automatically, the second one is using var, the third one is using let, and the fourth one is using const. Don't worry, I will explain the four of these ways for you. Now, the first one is the automatic way. These you probably would never use them, and they are automatically declared when first used. So just basically ignore them. Nobody would tell you about this, but because of you are here, you get everything. And they are simply just bad practice, and don't do it. And for this reason, I won't even be showing you at all. Right? It's considered good programming practice to always declare variables before using. And that is something that doing it automatic way goes against. So we won't be taking a look at that at all. Now the second way is using var. Now, how do we declare variable using var? Well, it's very simple. First of all, we write the var keyword. var var, and then we write the name of the variable. In this case, we'll say age, and then write the value of the variable. In my case, 20. And that's it. So you successfully declared a variable called age, and you've assigned a value of 20 to that variable. Now, the variable age is now a container for the value 20. So anytime we want to get the age value, we can just say age, and I'm going to run quokka. Remember, that is what we are using here. So type quokka, start on current file, and it will run that, and you see the value 20. So I don't want to be using this way. I want to be using the console log age, and you see 20. Now if we change the value of age to 40, age changed to 40. So age basically is a container for this variable. So anytime we want to use age or want to use this value, we can just use age. So if I want to do anything with this 40, I will just do it with age. And anytime I change 40, it will change in everywhere I'm using this age variable. So just a simple and little note. The var keyword was used in all JS code from 1995 to 2015, which was when ES6 came out. And you might be thinking, why did we stop using it in 2015? Well, that's simply because the let and const keywords were added to JS or JavaScript in 2015. So when ES6 came about, they brought with them let and const, which basically replaced the var keyword. So what am I trying to tell you guys? Well, I'm trying to tell you guys to avoid using var. So I've told you four ways. I told you that there were 4 ways, and I've told you to not use the first 2. So we are off on a strong start here. But yeah, doing it the automatic way is a no-no, and using var is also a no-no. Now the third way is the let keyword. How do we use the let keyword to declare a variable? Well, basically the same way you do it with a var, but this time we won't be using the word var, we'll be using let, let. So let age is equals to 20. I can console.log age and would get 20. Very, very simple. And I can change this to 40 and would get 40. Now the fourth and last way of doing this is by using const. Now how do we use const? Again, very, very similar to the way we use var and let, just that the keyword is different. So const age is equals to 20. Console.log age, and we'll get 20. If we change this to 40, we'll get 40. Now, I know most of you will be thinking at this point, what is the difference between var, let, and const? And why shouldn't we use var if it works the same way with let and const? Well, looking at it from this perspective, it might seem it works the same way, but there are actually difference between var, let, and const. Now, what are those differences, right? So first of all is the scope. Now, I don't want to go really deep into JavaScript. You guys are just complete beginners, but just take it as var being a global scope, right? And anything that has to do with the global scope might cause bugs because of, now we can basically use var. Like I can say var is age is equals to 10. And when I declare this, it's not done in this scope or this context, it's done on the global scope. Now, let me give you a very clean example. Let me log out the value of age. Console.log age, and age shows 10, correct? Now let's create a different scope. So I'll use an if, yeah, and I don't want you guys to get too caught up in this. I'm just trying to be able to show you why var might cause some bugs. So I'll say if true, and by doing this, I've created another scope, and I'll redeclare age is equal to 20. And now I want to console log age one more time. I want to check for the value of age. I want you guys to write down in the comments, pause the video right now and write down in the comment section what you think the value of age would be. At the beginning, age is equals to 10. And inside this if block, which says if true, that means this would definitely run. Age would be equals to 20. But we are not just adding a new value to age, we are redeclaring age. You understand? So let's log out age one more time, and we see 20. And this is a bug because of this should still be 10, because of this is a different scope. But because of var is the global scope, that will not be the case. So what of let and const? Well, they are block scope. So if I wrote, for example, if I changed everywhere I have var to let, you'll see the difference. Now, let age is equals to 10. I console log age. I have 10. I did this if let age is equals to 20. Now, this is a new variable. It's not the same as this one. So when I logged out age, it still gave me 10 and not 20 this time. So now if I logged out age inside this scope, which is a block scope, it will give me 20. So that was two different scopes. And I don't want to confuse you guys, so I won't go too deep into it. And const basically works the same way in terms of scope as let works. Now, what are some other differences? Well, redeclaring them. Well, so for var can be redeclared in the same scope as I showed you guys, which is a bad thing, can cause bugs. For let cannot be redeclared in the same scope as the same as const. What about reassigning them? Well, you can reassign var and let, but you can't reassign const, which is not necessarily a bug. So what I mean by reassigning is const age is equals to 10. And I was like, nah, age isn't 10, age is 5. And I went, age is equals to 5. You see, assignment to a constant variable, that's an error. You can't do that with const. So if I change here to let, now this would give me what I want, which is 5. And if I said age is equals to 5, no error. If I went and I said age is equals to 4, no error. But if this let was const, well, there will be an error because you can't reassign const. You can reassign let and you can reassign var. What about some other difference? Well, var is hoisted, and I'm not going to go into that at all because of will spiral down and deep. So just take it as that. And var binds into this as well. And again, that would take you really, really deep. But just note this down as what makes var bad. So all these things I stated might introduce very easily bugs into your application. That was why they created let and they created const to fix the issues that var had. So a lot of times var will bind to this, and trust me, personally, I've had a bad experience with that. So what are the get downs now, right? You shouldn't use var. Okay, you shouldn't do automatic reassigning, and I didn't even show you guys that, so you don't know how to do it. So what should you use? Let or const? Well, the default way of doing this is to always by default use const, and then you use let if you would reassign the variable in the future. So for our example, I would use const for age, But in the future, if I am going to change this, if I am going to not change it, right? Reassign it. So reassign is a very specific word. If I'm going to reassign this, then I'll change this const to let. But by default, we're going to be using const, right? So never use var. Just pretend like it doesn't exist, right? var is bad, right? So never use var. And that's basically it for this tutorial. Those are JavaScript variables. Most programming language have one or two ways of declaring variables. JavaScript has four, as you can see. So JavaScript is a very, very wonderful language. It gives you a lot of options on ways to do the same thing. So make sure you guys like this video if you did like the video. Share the video if you want other people to see what we are doing over here. And if you have any questions, again, get them down on the comment section. I'll make sure that I answer your questions. And in the next chapter, we're going to be looking at JavaScript operators. You guys are going to love that one most definitely. Those of you that love math, you're going to love that one. As always, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.